Hey everyone, welcome back to Catching Up with the Walkers. Thank you so much for joining us. It has been a busy morning already, and that means it's time for a second cup of coffee.
It is.
To re-energize us, because we just had a long meeting that happens once a year, every year, with our foster care certification worker.
Yes.
And Cassie has some allergies going on.
I'm about to sneeze.
Don't sneeze on my camera lens. Don't do it.
You're messing the light.
It's all better. It made its way. So,
would they rather me sneeze or yawn?
whatever happens, happens. You guys are cool with it. We know that. So, today we wanted to take a little bit of time out of our day, since this is pretty much a big deal for us, and go over what it takes for you or anybody to be a certified home to do foster care.
Yeah, each agency and what you go through will vary a little bit. Things will be different, but lots of paperwork, lots of questions. They want to know your brother-in-law's birthday and what he does every day.
Yeah.
Lots of things.
And as they should, when they trust you to care for a child.
Yeah.
But we are proponents of foster care. We love to use our platform and our reach that we have here on YouTube and Facebook and social media in general to reach out to you in hopes, this is our hope, that we will have others join us as being fellow foster families.
Yeah, not everyone is called to foster or to adopt, but those who are called, it can be scary. There's lots of questions, but we always just say go for it. If God calls you to it, He'll get you through it. It's not going to be roses and sunshine, but if He calls you, we encourage people to do that. A lot of times people see the bad of everything. We want to share the ups and the downs, and just we're two regular people that have been called to do this, and we want to encourage other people to answer the call.
So our hope is that if you know a family that's considering foster care and they have questions, or they don't really know what it takes to get into it, like what do you actually go through to go from the point of not being a certified home to being certified and ready to take children? That's the question we want to answer today.
Yeah.
It's really fresh on our minds, so we thought today would be the perfect day to do it.
Yeah, I have people reach out to me all the time with questions. It's like anything else. Our family is super supportive. They've done this for 10 years. They help, all the things. They can encourage us, but when you talk to another family that has actually gone through it, you know, just like if you got diagnosed with cancer, you want to ask other people with that what's happened. If you're having heart problems or, you know, whatever, it's just a comfort and encouraging to talk to other people that have walked through that. And so we enjoy being able to do that, encourage people, answer questions, let them know it's not going to be easy, but it's also, well, it is hard.
No, it's hard. No, don't take us wrong. We're not saying it's not hard, because it is very hard. You have to put...
The easy thing would just be not to do it, but that's not what God has called you to do.
Yeah, we have to put a lot of our self-interest aside and things that we want to do ourselves and able to do foster care, but while it is hard, it is worth it, and we are called to do it, so that is what we're doing.
Yeah, just recently, Gary and I have been talking about some trips we were planning on going on. Probably not the best thing to do, not the right time. You know, we got these things we got to do. And so there's going to be some things that we were planning to do, not do. And that's fine, but it's just for the best interest of everybody.
Yeah, and in the future, one day, we'll do it. We'll keep going and eventually get to it. So we were reminded today of exactly how long we've been doing foster care, because this was our 10th or 11th?
We're starting our 11th year.
We're starting our 11th year. So this is the 11th time we went through this process, and that's why we feel like we have a expertise to share with you guys, the ins and outs and what it takes.
Yeah, we still don't have it all figured out, but parenting is parenting. It's a little different when you're fostering and things like that. Our adoptive kids are treated just like our biological son. And you don't always see that. Sometimes you see a difference, but that's not what we do. Our foster kids are treated the same. They just, they just can't be on camera as much, or there's different things. They're always to the side, whatever. But we navigate it the best we can, do the best we can, and so far, feel like we've done okay.
Yeah. So we'll go ahead and get to what it takes. So initially, if you want to become a foster home, you have to reach out to whatever agency that you plan on fostering with. There are private agencies, and they're going to require sometimes even more than the state or the government agencies. There are
usually also costs money.
There are state-run agencies, which is your Department of Human Services. DHS is what they're called in Oklahoma. They may be called other things in other states, but that is your state-ran, government-ran fostering and adoption route.
Yeah.
And that is probably your most common, just because they take most of the children into care. A lot of your state police and different things will pull kids, and that's who they call first.
Yeah.
For us, we're a little bit unique because we live on the reservation of the Cherokee Nation, and the Cherokee Nation has their own say over their own children. A lot of this comes from years back of history of Native Americans being pulled away from their tribe and being placed in other parts of the country where they have no ties to their native roots. So all that changed when federal law changed, and they made it possible for a preference to be in place that if a tribal child gets pulled out of their home, they have a preference to be placed inside another tribal home. That way they still have a connection to their culture and their identity of their tribe and different things like that.
Yeah.
So that's kind of a short summary. So for us, we are certified with Cherokee Nation, and the list of things we go through is going to be their list of things that are required, probably plus a little bit, but I think this mostly covers it.
Yeah.
And this is our recertification.
Yeah.
But initially, you have to go through is it 2-day training?
Yeah, and then we're supposed to do that every 5 years, I believe. But when we first reached out, I emailed the ICW, Indian Child Welfare, and I said, hey, we'd like to know more. So then they contacted me. They sent a lady out with initial questions. Again, this was almost 11 years ago. They might do it a little different. Initial questions, initial walkthrough, just to make sure, hey, your house is okay for it. You know, they've said they've seen lots of different things. They're not looking for spick and span and all the nicest things. Just, is this a house that...
Is it a safe environment for a child?
And so the initial ones, for them to tell us things we need to do, or, hey, you're good to go. Then we went to, they sent us, on that day, she brought a little bit of paperwork and said, if you still want to, fill this out. They try not to overwhelm you with all the paperwork at once, and that's what I really like, because I know people that's went through other things, you know, it was overwhelming. Then we went through the classes, we did some more paperwork, people came out 2 or 3 different times to do things, and then we were certified.
Yep. So that...
I contacted them in October, and we got certified in May, only because, you know, here's the classes when they're offered, which one can you come to? Or here's the paperwork, it took us a week or 3 weeks or whatever to get it done. You know, we weren't trying to rush into anything.
Yeah. And so one of the things they're looking for on that first initial visit is, like I said, safety, a safe place for a child. Very simple. So things that we had at the time was like an in-ground swimming pool. So we had to make sure that we had a fence around that in-ground swimming pool, and we had those little things over the doorknobs so you couldn't go out a door that led to the swimming pool.
Yeah.
And things like that. So they're just looking for safety.
Yeah, and I believe she also had ran just our names, and so she came out with a big pile of, hey, is this you, Gary Walker? Is this you, Cassie?
Yeah.
And we were narrowed down to, those aren't me, these are me. And so just initial, like, these are things we found on your record, or, okay, none of these people are actually you, so you're good to go.
Turns out there's a lot of Gary Walkers around Oklahoma, and some of you guys are bad Gary Walkers. You need to do something about it, because giving us Gary Walkers a bad name is not cool.
Yeah. So just different stuff like that. She said, you know, a lot of times that initial visit, they're like, nope, not for us, never mind. And so there's no reason to go through all the other stuff if that's going to happen.
Yeah, and there's a lot of other stuff. And all of that other stuff is a lot, but once you do it the initial time, then it's kind of updating it. So the first thing that they really do is kind of a narrative of your family.
Yeah.
It's kind of strange listening to it, because it's basically like autobiography type thing.
And some of it's older, but we don't necessarily change it. I mean, if it's not relative anymore, but there's no reason to change everything. But yeah.
So they'll go through a whole narrative of, I'm Gary Walker. This is my job, what I do for a living. This is my interest. I like to hunt.
These are my hobbies.
I like to, do these hobbies.
This is my health.
I was born in Locust Grove. Back all of the details, just like a narrative, like a 4-page narrative.
This is why our family has chose to do this.
Of you, yeah. Like, why do you choose to do it? And then it gets
into a little narrative about each one of our kids.
It gets into the health of Cassie and I, and then it gets into the children.
We had to write one today about Little Bear because he wasn't on there because he's new. And what does he enjoy? What does he do? What does he like? And I'm like, he's a toddler. I mean,
he likes to eat
outside,
riding in a stroller. But it is important because it gives you an opportunity to tell your story.
Yeah, and then when we were doing like newborns and stuff, I wrote a letter to the moms. There is like a program where if moms are pregnant and they want to find a family beforehand, they can go through and read about the family. You send in a picture, things like that. We haven't been doing newborns anymore, so we haven't had to do that. But it's just something that, they can look at and maybe hopefully pick a family that they feel comfortable with, that they can connect with, or whatever's the case.
Yeah. So we got that completed. They have to update it every year with new dates of your age and things like that. So the next thing they do is home assessment form and a certification intent form and child preference. So all of that, again, goes back to the home. Make sure it's a safe place for the child.
Yeah, and then I always fill out the child preference. There's lots of questions about health, what they've been around, what they do, like older kids, if they've been in trouble or things that they... and so there's yes, no, and negotiable. Some things I write negotiable on it because it just kind of depends the severity of it. There's anything from ear infections and asthma to like major diseases and developmental things and stuff like that. So it just asks you a whole bunch of questions and the ages, will you do sibling, male, female, and then gets into the health and backgrounds.
And so it's really important to make sure that you're comfortable with whatever is possibility on there. And there's, like I said, endless possibilities.
Some are absolutely no's because we have to think about our children first. And some are yeses and some are negotiable because it just kind of depends on the situation.
Yeah. So after we go through all that, then you have to get into your personal information. And I think this is one of the reasons that we were pretty much okay with doing YouTube and sharing a lot, because we have been oversharing for over 10 years with basically anybody from the agencies that want to walk into our house at any time.
Yeah.
We live an open book. So we're not hiding anything. We don't have anything to hide from you guys.
Since we got Little Bear, they've been here 4 or 5 times.
Probably.
Initially,
maybe probably 6.
In the beginning, they have to come a whole bunch, and then the longer he's here, it's like once a month, and not everybody has to come, different things like that. So yeah, I mean, we're used to oversharing because if they want to walk in and look at my toilet, they can walk in and look at my toilet. I mean...
And it's clean today. So some of the stuff they want, though, is references.
Which thankfully we've met people through YouTube, because like today I used Stephanie Eddy because I'm like for 2 for 10 years, so that's 20 people.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, what? And it can't be family members, I don't think, like immediate or whatever.
Yeah.
But I'm always choosing new workers at our school, new YouTube friends.
We've used all of our preachers, all of our close friends.
So like at first we were going through all the church people, and then I've been going through school. When we got Little Bear, one of the teachers was like, your certification's probably coming up. Who you gonna use? I was like, thankfully we got some new employees this year. So anyway.
And they actually do call.
They do.
Like when you do a work reference on a resume, they might or might not call.
Yeah.
But these people will call.
We've used Sean and Brandy with Keeping It Dutch in the past, and Sean messed with us, and he's like, hey, they just called, and I just told them, like, I don't know about them, But So she just left. So within 3 to 4 to 5 days, those people will get a phone call, ask really random questions about us. And do you trust them with your own kids? Just lots of weird things. And some people that aren't as open and talkative, they're almost uncomfortable because they ask weird questions.
They get personal. A couple other things. This one's probably more unique to being tribal. Native American cultural questionnaire. So it's kind of a questionnaire about what we do to connect culturally. And we go through that. A lot of the stuff we've actually shared on YouTube. How we do heirloom seeds. We went and seen the bison at the Buffalo Ranch. And
so ICW's vision and goal is while they're in your home or if you adopt them, they just want to know that you're going to continue to teach them about their heritage and things like that. So every year we have to do so much while we are foster parents, so they know that we're just actively teaching them about their heritage.
Yeah, we have to maintain hours of training, 12 hours. 8 of those hours are general, meaning it could be parenting classes, CPR, different types of training, and then 4 are required to be cultural. So we make sure to do that.
Sometimes we do more cultural than anything.
Yeah, we do. We get our cultural knocked off pretty easy. Short-term and long-term caregivers, so they have to consider if something happened to you as a foster parent, what would happen to your children? Who would care for them? And if you go out of town, who's going to care for them?
Yeah.
Some of the other stuff is financial statements. So they want to make sure that you have the means to take care of a child.
Yeah, and they're not looking for big bucks and things. They just want to make sure that.
Yeah, no, they're looking for how much money you have coming in, and how much you're putting out.
Yeah, so that you can take care of another person.
Yeah, making sure that you're not, overstretched by your means. So that's all they're looking for.
You all know if money is a stressor, that's a stressor
stressed
on your marriage, and then you get new kids, that's more of a stress. So the last thing we want is anyone in a financial problem to get more children that it's not going to work out.
Yeah. The next thing is medical. So they want to know, are your children that are in your care being cared for? And B, is Cassie in good health? Am I in good health? We have an annual paper that we have to take to our doctor for a physical. They fill it out. We send it back in. Really easy. There's not anything, but it is part of it. So that's one thing you have to consider. If you have some type of major health issue, that might be a problem. Yeah,
and again, it would probably be negotiable at what they're looking at. Like, you have this medical problem, but with medicine it's under control, or it's not going to affect me taking care of a newborn or a 5-year-old or a 10-year-old or whatever. It would just be based on if it's going to interfere with you caring for the child.
Yeah, and then it comes down to any other things that happen when the child's in your home. So if you get any kind of financial reimbursement. Some people say that there are people out there just in foster care for the money. I'm going to tell you, those people are broke. I don't know how much money other states are paying, but if you're just in it for the money in Oklahoma, you're going to be hungry.
Yeah,
so I don't understand that part.
There are people that don't do it for the right reasons, but they're not getting rich off of this. So
unless you have like a 15-passenger van and it's got 13 kids in it, like there's not enough money that I can see, unless I'm missing something. And the headache
of all the paperwork.
Yeah, and the paperwork. I mean, kids are expensive. Like they eat a lot, and they have to have clothes, and they have to have all the things that go with sports and activities. So there may be people in it for the wrong reason, but if money's it, I'm telling you, they're not getting rich.
We don't have to show all of our animals' vet records and all that, but dogs and cats and things like that have to be up to date. We have to show those things. We got to take them in. But then, like when it comes to the sheep and the alpacas and all that, they're not worried about all that.
Yeah. Okay. So that was one whole page of checklist.
And then there's another half a page.
We're on the next page. But all of these things are important, so it's not like you can just go on and not do them. And that's what we do every year. Insurance. So they want to make sure that we have vehicles that are safe and that they're all insured for the child's safety that's riding in them. So every year we submit our insurance, and If we sold a truck and bought a truck, which we did this year, then we have to tell them about it, the year, the make, the model, how many people can seat, and we have insurance on it. So that's an annual thing. CPR, first aid training. So Cassie and I both maintain a infant and up CPR first aid training, just in case.
Yep.
And that's very important. We went over this: pet vaccination records, marriage license. So that's one of the things on the list.
I guess we did that initially.
That was one of the things.
I can't seem to find your birth certificate. Do you think they could give me a copy of it?
So Cassie may have lost my birth certificate. I promise I was born. Otherwise, how would I be here? I do have a good, what's it called? Passport.
Yeah.
So usually that's an acceptable form of ID. I just don't want to let that expire. Copy of driver's license. Cassie got a new one this year. And,
which she didn't ask for a copy of, but we need to give her one.
But we'll send that in. There's a whole list of things. So even after we filled out a big thick pile of paperwork today, handed it off, there's a whole list of things that I email back in that I just do electronically that I don't want to print, like insurance statements and all of that. Basically they do a thorough search of everything in our local area.
And I think it's every 3 or 5 years we have to go do our fingerprints.
Mm-hmm.
And
full fingerprints.
Yeah.
And they do a full background checks. I mean, very thorough background checks. The rest of this is just kind of more personal information. But the main thing is that it is a lot. And so if you are thinking or considering in foster care, just know it's not easy to get certified as far as the amount of paperwork. It's not hard, but you're going to be doing this a lot.
Yeah, and they have to make sure that they can trust you with these children. And you guys see stuff on the news and you're like, how did those people, they faked it, they lied, whatever. But they do really check because they don't want anything to end up on the news. And all they can determine from Gary and I is their interaction with us, and that's why they do the references, and that's why you can't just have your mom and dad on there or whatever, a different one every year, so that hopefully within this whole thing, if there's any red flags, they pop up somewhere.
Yeah, because every time we've done this for the last 10 years, we have a case number, and that number is tied to our family, our home. And that number has all the information we ever put. So they're basically building a story of our family. Mm-hmm. And it's ongoing as long as we have our home open for foster care, then that story will keep being built. At some point, if we close it, then that'll be it. But they're able to go through and look at a history and be able to maintain that and know every year that they've done their due diligence. Mm-hmm. They've done everything in their power to make sure that their children, our tribe, Cherokee Nation's children, are going into a safe home that will take care of them. And they don't stop there. They do follow-up visits, don't they?
Yeah. So initially, when we got certified, that was part of that process, was some surprise visits. When I say surprise, like, hey, I'm in your driveway, I need to come in, and things like that, just to, try to catch you off guard or whatever. But yeah. Yeah.
So hopefully if somebody has questions, we encourage you to reach out. Gary and Cassie Walker at gmail.com is our email address. That's where we kind of point people towards direction. So our hope is that if you know somebody that's thinking about doing foster care, and you know somebody that they're on the fence, or they've talked about it but they haven't got serious about it, if you would just share this video with them, mm-hmm. send them the link to the video, and then tell them if they have questions to make sure and reach out to us. We know the Oklahoma system pretty well. We know the Cherokee Nation tribal system very, very well.
Yeah.
And we are very very open and able to share some of our past experiences, and we've done that over the years multiple times, and through that we have actually seen parents sign up for foster care. We've seen children be adopted into some of those homes, and we know some of those kids and see them every day. So it's a pretty cool deal. That's all we really have today. This was all fresh on our minds since it just happened, our annual certification, and we thought it would be a good opportunity to share with you guys, because that's one of the reasons we started our YouTube channel, was to do just that.
Yes.
So, any prayer requests?
Keep praying for baby Pharaoh over at our Brown farmhouse. He's having surgery as we speak. Things are going well. Been talking to Natalie, but pray for recovery and the whole process with that.
Yeah, pray for their family. That's a big stress anytime you have a child going through something like that. So I know they would appreciate it greatly. So thank you for following along. We hope you have a great day, and God bless.
Love you guys.